Hello and welcome! Silrace here with more World of Warcraft leveling. Let's do this silly spyglass quest here, because this is kind of silly bit here. I mean, you can use the spyglass and it just zooms in on this guy in the distance, and they didn't even bother making the lens effect of like looking through a spyglass. But anyway, that is beside the point. The point for this video is I want to talk about exclusivity in video games. I have always been a fan of exclusivity, and this is not in reference to, for example, exclusive pre-order bonuses for buying a video game or like pre-purchasing it. No. I am talking about exclusivity in the actual games. So, what does that mean? As a simple example, restricting a class to a certain race, that is, or restricting weapons to a certain class. That is very exclusive thing, right? It means it's exclusive to that class, that race, that class, or whatnot. And even as a narrow exclusivity of like making that these three races have access to this class, right? So now you understand what I am on about here on the, for this particular video, right? I hope so at least. So I have always been a fan of that. For example, when let's throw out a simple example here of why I like exclusivity, because to me it forces people to actually make decisions, make choices for themselves. And that was the wrong dude. This one is the quest giver. Anyway. So let's say you start playing this particular game back in the vanilla World of Warcraft, right? When the game came out and druids were only available to night elves and tauren. So if you wanted to play the horde side, you would be forced to play a tauren if you wanted to play a druid, right? If you wanted to play a shaman, you couldn't play an undead, because undead had no shamans, and so forth. And this is the kind of stuff where you have to make those decisions for yourself. Like, I love this class, and I love this race, but actually I cannot combine these two. So which do I sacrifice on? Do I play this race simply because I love the looks on this race and whatnot, and then go for another different class? Or do I stay with this class I really like and then find another race which I also like to go with it? Of course, there are some power gaming aspects to this, which has nothing to do with the rest of it, which is basically sort of, okay, this race has better, you know, racial bonuses for this particular class, but it is one form of exclusivity as well, in essence. It's like, I pick this race because it's the best for this class. And I have always been a fan of this, because like I said, it forces people to make those decisions for themselves, which is to say that, do I want to play class or do I want to play race, and then find a different class? And World of Warcraft is very much doing away with that of late. It's like, suddenly there are dwarven shamans, there are dwarven mages, there are troll warlocks, there are orc mages. For whatever reason, blood elves gained warrior. Like, okay, for a long time, blood elves were not able to be warriors. Suddenly they are able to be warriors. It's like, why are you doing this stuff? It's like, I don't get it. I just don't. Like, okay, I kind of understood that they wanted to put in a class, one more way of getting a certain class on certain factions, like the exclusive classes, so to say. So, tauren paladin in addition to a blood elf paladin for the horde, or a dwarven shaman in addition to a draenei shaman for the alliance side. Okay, now there is two races you can do these two exclusive classes with. But why would you start adding all these other things which make no sense and whatnot? Of course, it's a video game. You can bend and twist the fluff and whatnot, the whole lore of the game, to however you want. Because you're obviously the one who develops the game, so you can do whatever the heck you want with it. However, I don't see the point. It's like it takes away people's, choices, essentially. Everything can now be done, basically, with a few races. It's like there is no choice to make on the race. You always just pick the one race you always have enjoyed. It's like, this is the race I always play, because I like the looks of it the most. And now I can do basically everything with it. So, I'll just play this one race all the time, right? And this doesn't only refer to World of Warcraft, it refers to every other game out there as well, which has these race and class interactions, or even class and weapon interactions, of like, Korean MMORPGs, for example, do this whole weapon balancing, in my opinion, very, very nicely, in the sense that certain weapons are straight up restricted to a certain class. You don't have to even think of what happens when this particular weapon is picked up by a completely different class. Such as the ideology from World of Warcraft, where every weapon is a hunter weapon, back in the day. Anyway, it's like, that's what Korean MMORPGs do. It's like, yeah, you play this class, you use this weapon. Done. Easy way to balance stuff. And actually, I am kind of okay with that. It's like, it kind of makes sense, right? Not every warrior learned to use every weapon out there, right? And certain army compositions in real life as well, back from the days where people used sticks and clubs and swords and whatnot, actually relied on certain weapon combinations to do majority of their stuff. Spear and a shield, sword and a shield, and so forth. Archers typically were a breed of their own, who spent their life learning archery. They didn't really spend their life learning every single weapon out there. And I'm kind of okay with that, even in video games. That it's like brought as part of to a video game. So yeah. But of course, it is a video game, you want to give players more freedom, more choices to make, except there is less choices to make, because suddenly you can do everything with one class, or one race, or whatnot. And that seems to me a little bit of a horrendous thing to do, because you essentially make players... It's kind of like giving someone all the toys. If you understand the concept, it's like you give a kid all the toys, then can play with all of them, instead of having to choose one or two or three from the toys, because that's how you also do a little bit of teaching as part of your video games. Like, you have choices and you have to make choices. And that is kind of starting to be missing from various games. So yeah. Also, finally hit level 10. So now I have to decide on my specialization, and frankly I have been thinking arms, because warrior to me is always, well, I am not a dual wielder. I have never been a dual wielder in whatever game. It's like, it's an afterthought for me always, dual wielding. Because as a weapon combination, I don't feel that's warrior thing. That is not a warrior. I always envision warriors as yeah. Let's go arms. I was just contemplating protection for a moment, but protection is a tank spec and probably levels kind of well these days. But I actually don't know if it will level well, so I'm gonna go DPS spec. So yeah. Anyways, so like I said, dual wielding not my thing. It's just when I think of a warrior, I always think of it as either one-handed and shield. That's the first thing which always comes to my mind, and the other one is a two-handed weapon. right? It's simple as that for me when it comes to warrior. I don't think I never imagine a warrior with a dual wielder. It's like never ever. So yeah, for me warrior is a two-hander, and that's what we are doing with the arms. We are gonna go two-hander. Right. So going back to the exclusivity business, I don't really understand like why it is being done the way it is done now in World of Warcraft, which is basically adding more and more races and classes to as a combination of those, and of course they uniformly then took away the ranged weapon slot from basically all the classes as well. So that also kills the exclusivity a little bit. Obviously the only one now who uses bows and guns and crossbows is the hunter. There is now 3 weapon types for that particular class, right? So I'm okay with that. But it's like, why can I not carry a throwing weapon on my warrior anymore in a ranged weapon slot? Because that would have been awesome. And this is an escort quest, and escort quests are boring and annoying. Less escort quests, and this is also a very silly escort quest. Right, so yeah. I'll just be honest and say that I don't understand, and when more games come, I hope that they look at this exclusivity business in a serious fashion, because it is one way of introducing replayability to game, and it is also one way of adding more, well, choices for the player to make. When you can do the Skyrim or Dragon Age Inquisition stuff of like I can make any combination of a race and class, so then yeah, that's obviously going to be a nice thing. But also those are single player games, so it doesn't really affect that much, because the only one you see or who sees your character is yourself. So there I completely understand it, right? However, in an MMORPG you interact with other people. Other people see your character. They see what race and class combination you did. And from power playing perspective back in the day, no one ever made troll warriors. Like I said when I first started on this character, on the first video, troll warriors are something I have barely ever seen. And why didn't you use this spell to begin with? Anyway, silly Grand Matron. Anyways, so like I said, troll warriors were a very rare occurrence. So now I'm playing one because of that. And I still, having leveled the other character on this side as well, I still haven't seen like almost any troll warriors. Obviously I haven't been to the very high end places yet, so I haven't been able to come across all the players. But I still don't think troll warriors are, well, majority warriors. They didn't have good racial bonuses for the warrior, so people went for other races which had better racial bonuses for it. That's one choice to make, obviously. So yeah. Anyway, I think I'm done talking about exclusivity here and whatnot. I'm just gonna go back and well, maybe visit the Orgrimmar in between and whatnot. So thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you folks another time and so forth. Let's just hope that the exclusivity sticks to the games and we don't have like everything can do everything and everyone can be whatever the heck they want just because everyone needs all the toys. No, you don't. You just don't need all the toys. Make players make choices and stick to those choices, right? Anyway, thank you very much for watching.